Hi, guys. This is Alex with Honey Badger on a Bridge. I'm testing out a free trial of recording software, hoping it'll be better than me staring off to the side at my phone. So at least now I can look kind of at the camera and my notes and facing in the same direction. So I'm going to try out four or five different softwares I found. I'm just not sure which will be easier for me to work with yet. So I'm recording this before I even record part three of the Crackhead update. So I wanted to get this done because I had typed up notes on this subject the day after I had done part one and two. Um, I have to read a lot, so just so I don't lose track and go off the rails. Um, a friend posted this on Facebook a few days ago, which led me to writing up notes on this subject, so to speak. Um, Kind of hits home for a lot of us women, married, single, divorced, especially us single women who do everything on our own. Um, it wasn't quite a meme. It was a writing from somebody. I don't know who, but my friend shared it. And it said, the more responsibilities a woman has to deal with on her own, the less attractive men become because she's now so independent that all she's worried about is taking care of her family and her home. Okay, why doesn't a man, even a new man, offer to help if they like somebody? Yard work, cleaning gutters, just so she has some free, little extra free time for him. Um, then it goes on to say, to her, a man has no place in her life because he doesn't contribute anything. Now, this is even once you start a relationship or you're in it for a while. I personally know this. Because he doesn't contribute anything other than heartbreak and wasted time. Amen. That's what happens when a woman is forced to fulfill the role of a man, and she's going to stay stuck like that until a real man steps up to the plate and takes some of that weight off her shoulders. Better yet, dude, bring your own plate and fork and wash them when you're done. Um, Guys, men, it's simple. If you're attracted to a woman, even when you're wanting to get to know her or you've been with her a while, step up to the plate so that women can flourish and you can see her potential on what she can do when there's no stress, um, and doesn't have to worry about making you happy because that should not be the way it is. So, in other words, don't be fucking assholes, okay? Um, so, the reason this struck me is it's been a while since I've had a boyfriend, I've been involved with anybody because I have had to deal with everything myself, insane roommates included over the past like 12, 15 years. I've had like a relationship with somebody that was younger. It's not that it faded away. He's off on his job a lot outside the area, which I understand. But, we don't see each other. It's been for quite a while. And we had an understanding that if you wanted to see somebody else while we were apart, that's fine, because I wasn't going to hold him back or demand, you know, he doesn't dip his toes anywhere else at this point. Um, okay, now, many years ago, after the one I was married to, the second marriage, had died and he was abusive, I ended up, um, okay, let's skip that part. Um, Messages. Um, I came back here to take care of my mother, okay? Um, it had been a few years since I was with my son's father. Um, there was absolutely um, nothing either one of us did. It was just the job and other things that were affecting me that made me leave to take a break, and I never went back. Um, so anyway, I had come back to take care of my mother, and not realizing I was going to be here permanently at that point. Um, I had had a few guy friends over the years. It would be the one or two I had feelings for, even if we were seeing each other just as friends with benefits, or just general friends, and whatever became of that. Um, if I started to have feelings for him because we got along and we were really good friends, and we just clicked, um, they ended up just not wanting a relationship. It had nothing to do with the responsibilities I had at the time, because things were not as bad as they got with my mother, like 3 to 4 years after I had moved back here. The others that I knew that did want to pursue a relationship and wanted more long-term relationship, I wasn't seeing the compatibility to the point of even trying other than just being friends. So, um, way back then, when my mother was having a lot of health issues, never mind the mental, and was in and out of nursing homes at times, um, I had been on certain websites, dating and whatnot, and ended up fading away from that because my responsibilities ended up getting so intense and worse than working for the government. And I just ended up foregoing even wanting to have a relationship at that point because things just would not work out one way or the other. So, um, mid June this year, I decided to go on a dating site. Um, I've been through like a lot of them over the years, and I mean, we're running into scammers. Men complain about running into scammers, but women have it just as bad. Um, so this past June, I decided to go on to a dating site, and man, I mean, I've been on a lot that were loaded with scammers, and with men that wouldn't even pay a month for the site so they could contact you easily, or or exchange emails through the site. Cheap. Okay. Um, so those are the ones that couldn't really see everything my profile said. And I always started off with just describing myself, my hobbies, and all, and said, I am not here looking to hook up. I'm looking for a friend, companion, and possible long-term relationship. um, so the ones that couldn't see my profile would send messages. And I mean, when I state I want somebody within a certain distance, doesn't mean in Texas, or across the country, or the old stuck out of the country working on an oil rig and needs money type, because women, I just cannot believe the mentality of women that fall for that shit nowadays. um, I bailed on a couple of those sites after a few weeks, and I decided to give a site called Bumble a try. And evidently, I think it's owned by the same people as Tinder. I really don't know. Like I said, I hadn't had a real relationship for a long time, and with the crackhead and crazy now out of the house, I decided, the soul suckers are gone, so I'm going to give it a try again. Um, like I said, I absolutely hate when someone way outside the area, like more than 60 miles, responds. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of miles away. You weed those out, the ones who drop the flirts or even do manage to email, get through the scammers that can't even type proper English. Um, I had one local guy happen to be in town who hit a like and a flirt with me. So, and I do believe he was paying. I'm not sure. But so we started exchanging emails back and forth through the site. And after about my sixth message, my email response back to him, um, I get a message that I was blocked unless I paid for, a monthly subscription. And this is a site that advertised that women had all the options for contact, etc. So I paid for just 1 month so I could keep talking to him. And as soon as I paid, I asked him for his cell number and gave me that no problem. I gave him mine, and so we chatted that way. And now I had no problem finding his full name and where he lived just by his cell phone number. And he's literally just a half a mile away from me. He did tell me where he worked just over, in the next town. And from the beginning, it was very weird. I would say something like, managed to get to Walmart early morning, then got yard mowed by 3, just general conversation, just texting back and forth. This would be like on the weekend, or, you know, even during the work week. He would work Monday to Friday. And just general conversation. And his replies were always something like, okay, that's it, okay. Or maybe a yes or a no to a question. And after a couple of days, I gave him my house phone number and told him to call me. Again, okay, nothing happened. I waited and waited. On his profile, he had said he was divorced, and he did tell me because I asked him. And I know he had at least a teen son, maybe preteen, I'm not sure. He had told me he left for work at 5:30 in the morning and got out of work at 5:30 p.m. He would never even call to chat for like the 15 and 20 minutes it took him to get home. After a few days of knowing him, I told him I was having a tag sale in my driveway, as my neighbors were also having one. We tag team like that, quite a bit. And I told him, stop by between 8 and 4 just to meet me and say hi, and again, I get a response, okay. Well, I never saw him show up that day. And later, after we shut down in the blazing heat, I packed up all my stuff, dragged it back in the garage, and he just dropped a short note. All he said was, sorry, had to take my son to his aunt's house. Well, okay. But no other thing like, they're having a party, there's a pool party, there's a picnic, we went to this town, da da da, I mean, he didn't have to give me a reason, but it's just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And I was always on guard about him being married, but when I asked him, like, at some point later on when we were talking more through text, he would just say no, that he's divorced. So one day during the work week at 6:30, I asked him if I could call. And I always gave him the option, or, always told him, call me. So this one day about 6:30 after he got home from work, I texted him and I said, can I call you for a few minutes? And this was, 6:30. And all he said was, I'm eating. Okay. Not right now, or maybe later, I'm eating. It's just like, I'm eating. So I'm just like, oh, okay. I said, what about after that? Let me know and I'll give you a call for just like, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. Then the motherfucker says, I like to relax before I go to bed. Previously, he had told me that he goes to bed like at 9:30 because he gets up at 5. Well, okay, understand now. While we were still emailing on the site, I asked how long he had been on the site, and he told me like 2 years. And, I asked him, did he ever meet anybody or go out from the site being on it that long? And he said, No, everybody just seems to want to chat through the site. So later I'm thinking the bots maybe trying to get men to pay. I don't know. Okay, so here's a decent looking guy complaining nobody wants to meet up. Told him we're half a mile from each other, and he goes, "Yep." Again, yep. At one point, I even said, "Oh, you're on such and such a street off this street, this main street." And he hesitated before he responded with the text because he's probably trying to remember, did he tell me where he lived? He didn't know I tracked him down. And, again, always short answers, rarely gave any info, like what he did for hobbies or, I don't know. Even if he did things with his kid or his kids, I mean, he's the one that contacted me. I was beginning to think he was either mentally slow or just an idiot. Now, I actually get out of bed. Sometimes I wake up 3 or 4 and I'm awake until I get up. So I get up anywhere between 5 and 6:30. I would always hear a text come in exactly at 5:30 every morning, Monday to Friday, with just him saying, "Good morning." Um, I never ran to respond right away. I would just do my thing because you can't bother calling me. I'm not going to waste my time or my energy running to respond. Um, so after I fed the dogs and did the dishes and finally sat with my coffee, I would respond. I'd just say something simple like going for groceries later before it gets hot or working on writing today. And his response was, "Okay, what the fuck?" Um, I'm a firm believer that even when you're just meeting somebody new, as in dating, you can learn a fucking lot by how you get treated. And man, I started feeling pretty fucking unappreciated. So about 3 weeks in, because I'm the type, I always give everybody a chance to prove themselves. Um, so about 3 weeks in, I just he obviously wasn't going to make any attempt to call me and talk on the phone. I didn't know if he was capable of saying anything other than okay or good morning, quite frankly. Um, so a few weeks in, I stopped even replying to his morning greeting. It was always just good morning, not good morning, how you doing? Did you have a good night? Hope you have, a good day. Beat me later. Nothing, absolute silence. Um, I stopped even looking at the phone. On the fourth or fifth morning, again, there was a good morning. I ignored it. After he got home, he would go, hello. I ignored it. A few more mornings of that, he stopped. Good, not totally stupid. He got the hint. So that was him, gone like a fart in the wind because I wasted 3 weeks of my time just waiting to meet somebody in person. Okay. So many years ago, one second. Many years ago, and I'm talking in that past 15-year period. I'm not sure if it was before or after I met this Jim I'm going to talk about now. Um, he wasn't around too long. Um, I'm not quite even sure what site I met him on, but he was in town. We're near a military base, and yeah, that's good for girls making money, I guess. But he had emailed me on the site and said, "Hey, I'm back." Da 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 da. He explained what he was doing in the service, and he had gotten out and working in a civilian capacity with the government. Um, he was only here maybe a month or so, and I can't even really remember him too much right now because he was just in and out of my life for like a month. And at that point, my mother, I think, was in the nursing home for a while before she was sent back home. The old routine we went through like every other month. And he ended up, now I'm not even sure, remembering back, because I was thinking it was somebody else I knew, but if this is the actual person I'm thinking of back then, I believe he went on to New York or Washington, D.C. from here with the job. So I'm not quite sure. Um, so I was meeting and dating off and on at the beginning of that period, like 15 to 20 years ago, however long I've been back here. And I was dealing with my mother in the nursing home, dealing with legalities of that and her mental state and whatever. And a couple of different guys that I knew as friends, whether I had met them on dating sites or they were in the area, um, they knew the situation I was dealing with, and they'd come around on occasion to visit, and would go out, grab a bite to eat, or even just when my mother wasn't here, just hang on the sofa and watch movies and have takeout, and just bullshit or just be quiet, and as company. Um, just saying, there were a couple that I really thought, okay, this might be something starting here, but that all end up fading away. And I really think in hindsight, and I thought about it, later on at that point too, I really think in hindsight that they felt like she's got too much to do. I really don't understand. I do, but I don't. But not one had said, hey, let me come over and not do my yard work, but help me with it. It's like you could be mowing while I'm trimming, or I'm doing other gardening stuff, but not one would come over and say, here, let me help you do this. So um, they would just like disappear. Um, so I was dealing with everything on my own, whether I had a man as a friend or possible relationship in my life. They just lazy. I don't know. I don't get it. Um, and there was this one time with a guy I really, really liked. Um, my mother was in the nursing home on one of her last long stretches before my brother, who lives down south, and I had to have her declare. Sorry about that. Had to have her declared incompetent to get her into a facility permanently. Um, on a Saturday, um, that would usually be when I would just take time off from dealing with the nursing home or visiting my mother, Monday through Friday. That was it. Um, the weekend was devoted to downtime, taking care of the dogs, laundry, house, yard work, the whole bit. I never really had a day off by the time I'd get home from the nursing home or dealing with attorneys and the nursing home staff and stuff like that during the week. Even if it was a couple of hours, I was just so mentally fucked that I just didn't do anything else. Um, so on a Saturday, this one guy calls in the afternoon, and I'd been seeing him off and on for quite a while. I'll say off and on. It's like he was working, I was home dealing with my stuff, So um, one Saturday, he calls in the afternoon, wants to go out and grab an early dinner and then come back here to hang and watch movies and, whatever. And at that point, when he called, it was like 2 p.m. I had just started yard work about an hour earlier, mowing the front and the back, which includes, most people do, using the yard blower afterwards and, raking up and doing the patios and stuff like that. So this motherfucker says to me, well, give me a call when you're all done. Nice, huh? Um, it was like I got hit in the face with a baseball bat. I didn't say anything for like 15, 20 seconds because obviously the sound of silence didn't mean anything to him at that point. He didn't get a clue. And he finally says, you there? I quietly said, yep. He repeats, well, okay, well, call me when you're ready. I just said, yeah, sure, hung up. that action alone was like a knife in my heart. It was at that moment I knew he's going to be history. Um, you know, you see what I've been dealing with the past few months, and I'm the type in a relationship, I do a lot for a guy. Maybe because I'm a Virgo. I don't know. I'm like a home person. I take care of everything. I don't, I enjoy doing yard work, gardening. Yes, even cleaning sometimes. When it's got to be done, I don't like, make a fuss about it. I do it and I try to keep things orderly. And when I'm in the relationship, I do a lot for a guy. I actually put in like 200% in the relationship to, I think it's just the old adage, treat people as you want to be treated. And I basically got run over a lot of times by somebody because I was too nice, always too nice. Okay. So yeah, I never called him when I was done with the yard work, and then I had to feed the dogs and deal with them and do dishes, and um, I still had to take a shower. And at that point, it was going on like, oh, excuse me, it was going on like 5 p.m. So he never even called or came by, and I was not going to be the one to make the move. I figured just maybe he'd grab takeout and just come over and knock on the door. And at that point, I maybe would have given him a little leeway for being an idiot, you know? Plus, I was tired from the heat and my back hurt and my knees were hurting and I was, walking and walking, going and lifting and lugging and, blowing the yard. Um, so there I sat with the two dogs laying back on the sofa watching TV when he texted about 7 and says something like, "Hey, you want some company?" Again, sound of crickets. Not even, "Are you okay? I've been waiting to hear from you." Nothing. So it wasn't until late afternoon the next day, it was Sunday, he calls and I just answered with what? Uh, at that point, I didn't even feel he deserved a hello. He tried to hint around. He wanted to come over. Not even like, "Hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. We didn't make it yesterday." And I'm not a fancy person for dining out anyway. It's like, take me to 99, Applebee's, something simple, hey, shit, I'll even go to Arby's at times, it doesn't matter to me. And so that was when I really realized I had to admit that everything was always on his terms. As far as when he wanted to come visit, never offered to help, help me do shit around the house. So I'd have more time to spend with him and I wouldn't be tired. Uh, with that last call, I just said, "Nope, I've got plans with a friend, a girlfriend, to go somewhere like to the mall or, bookstore, whatever it was at the time." And he never bothered pursuing me. I guess that proved I meant shit to him on a relationship level. I have no clue. But a good month or so later, he texted out of the blue, no word in between, no calls, no texts, no nothing. He just texts out of the blue and says, "Hey, what's going on?" And I waited an hour, before answering because he didn't even deserve an answer. But I waited an hour and I just responded with nothing. Period. I wasn't going to give him any information about anything, what was going on, what I was doing, nothing. It took a few minutes before he sends back, "Are you seeing anyone?" Oh my fucking God. Again, if he had half a brain to just say, "Can I come over and talk?" I just might have given him a second chance and tell him what pissed me off. You know, and even ask him, "What are we?" Are you just thinking we're friends with benefits, or I don't know. And what pissed me off is like, did he just figure I ran right out and grabbed a replacement because I didn't bother calling him in between all that time? I don't know. I give up, But so when he asked me that, I said, not that it's any of your business, but no, no, fuck off. Did I leave him confused? Did he even care? Obviously not, because as far as I'm concerned, if a man likes me, he'd be knocking on that door with flowers and takeout. And I'm not really a flower girl, but still, the point is, bring me a plant. Apologize, say something. But he never even did that, or pop by and say, "Can we sit down and talk?" Um, you know, Now I do understand that mentality, that old mentality. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, because both sexes think completely differently, and I do understand that. I've learned to read man speak, man thoughts, man actions over the years, but it still just leaves me boggled. Um, so the first guy, a couple of months ago, he went bye bye. I went back on to another site I had been on about 15 years ago, and it was what you would consider an adult site. Not porn, but, well, depends on how you look at it. And this is where I had met Jim. I believe it was. I'm not sure. I really can't remember. But I believe that's probably where I met Jim, because there are people on there looking not only for like hookups and partners and, but they are looking for relationships on there too. And a day after I had put my profile back up, and I only put up kind of like a face picture, kind of like this looking down, and I had a hat on, with my usual description and my hobbies and everything. And this Jim, who lived again in my town, um, did a flirt or a like or something. So I friended him. And then at the same time, somebody else in town who worked for the city, um, he also did the same thing. So I friended both of them. And through the site on email, I was talking to Jim, and I just said, "Hey, how you doing?" Da 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 da. We exchanged cell phone numbers, no problem. And again, I tracked him down. I knew where he lived, and funny enough, he's like two blocks from me, and I thought his profile name looked familiar, and it was a version of something he had used those 15 years ago. Um, didn't even know like where he had been in those 15 years. He was not a thought in my mind at that point, because we didn't have anything serious anyway, and his job took him elsewhere. Um, so this other guy, also in town, um, we'll call him Mike. Okay. So in between, Mike would text me back, and email me back and forth through the site, and we also exchanged tech, cell phone numbers. Um, when Jim asked me, like the second day, "Hey, can I give you a call?" I'm like, "Oh my God, somebody's actually asking to call me." I gave him my house number. And before he called me, he emailed me on the site, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I think I know you." He goes, "We've met before." He goes, "I went back to look at your profile, and I'm thinking the description, the hobbies, that type of thing." He said, he goes, I think we've met. And I said, well, your name, your profile, handle was familiar. I said, but I didn't know if it was just somebody else using part of it or whatever. And so he called me on the house phone about almost 9 o'clock at night. He had been out doing something. And when I answered the phone, he goes, hey, you live blah, 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 blah. And I said, fuck you. I said, I know where you live too, because I tracked him down by his number. We talked for 2.5 hours, and it felt just like that connection with somebody. You had so much in common. We're both conservatives. We just talked about everything. He did ask me at that point, I remember, your mom was in out of the nursing home, and your dog you had left had passed away, and da 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 and everything. And I says, yeah. And I told him my mother passed away a few years ago, and that I'd been dealing with the house and having roommates come in to, just help pay bills and stuff like that. And I briefly told him that I had to kick the alcoholic crackhead out, and then crazy went a couple of weeks after him. That's all I said. He was telling me about the person he had been living with for, let's just say, over 5 years. And I never even asked, why did you break up? I really don't know. I mean, I didn't ask. That's usually something you ask somebody when they get divorced. But, and I'm not even sure how long he was right back here, you know, 2 blocks from me. But he said to me on the phone, I go by your, he goes, I've gone by your house all the time, and I've wanted to stop and see how you were doing, talk to you, but I always saw a big truck and another car out front. He goes, I thought maybe you got married, you were seeing somebody, you were living with somebody. And I told him, I says, no, those are roommates. And I said, the big white truck is now gone. Crazy is gone. And Oliver went from having the car he had before to the car he's got out there now. And he said, oh, I said, you could have just knocked on the door. I said, wouldn't have mattered, whatever. And so we had a really good conversation, and it probably could have gone on for a few hours longer. But he had to get up early in the morning to drive out of state for something, So I told him, I said, get off the phone. I said, you need your rest. I'm going to bed. Being up that late was like late for me anyway. So I figured he was going to call me the next day or something. And that was a Saturday. And now, mind you, this was like 8 days ago, the Saturday. And it's not like I was waiting around for him, but I sent him just a couple of messages, just general, like, what's happening. Not what I didn't even say what's happening. I just told him, a couple of things I was doing around the house and trying to get some writing done and, things like that. And he never answered. So I'm like, okay, he's on the road, he's busy, it's like, don't know him well enough to know his full, schedule at that point. And I certainly, if I'm seeing somebody, even if I'm living with somebody, I don't want them around my face, in my face 24/7, go out and do things, So I never got a response from him. Now, I don't keep my cell phone by me when I'm sleeping. It's like on a table near the foot of the bed. So it's like I don't pay attention to any notifications that come and go during the night. But I didn't see until later in the morning that he had answered me at like 11:30 the night before and just said, sorry, I didn't realize he had like do not disturb on his phone or something. So notifications weren't coming in. Could be true. Could have been lying. I don't know. I don't care. I didn't care at that point. So that Sunday when, I did text him back or whatever, I had responded to him, earlier in the morning, and then later in the morning, we were having like rainstorms constantly, and I had just said something to him, and he sends me a photo, which is which was taken inside. It looked like a fifth wheel RV, and showing me the photo on the campgrounds of the pouring rain. And he did tell me like the night before that, or Friday night, that he did have this camper set up at this one place, and I won't go into details of like where it is or what goes on out there. I mean, it's a family campground or whatever. But I mean, the night before when he said sorry, I didn't get your messages, he could have just said I'm out here, for the weekend. I mean, it didn't bother me. It was just like weird. And so we were just like chit chatting back and forth a little bit, and I'm doing things in the house, and I'm taking care of the dogs, and I'm doing dishes, and I'm doing laundry, and I'm sitting here doing computer work in between texting with him. And at one point, I just texted him and I said, "Oh my God, you ever know somebody you've known for a long time and you just want to put a spike in their head? They make you crazy." And he goes, "Nope, I've never had anybody like that. I don't let people get to me." And now this was like a good 5 minutes in between me saying that, him answering, and then a few minutes later when I responded with something like, "I think I really just need to move." And I got up to go let the dogs in from the backyard. It was hot out, even though it was raining. And I went to let them in, and I came back, and as I was walking away to go let the dogs in, my cell phone started ringing. And I looked, and it was him trying to call, and so I just went and did what I had to do, and I came back and I said I had to go take care of the dogs. Um, I told him, "Let me call you on the cell phone in a few minutes," and so he's like, "Okay." But he was trying to ask me over text too, "Where are you going to move to?" And when I didn't answer, that's when he tried calling, but I had walked away. So I called him back, and he asked me like, "Where are you going to go?" And I mean, he called like, I mean, I'm confused. He called to find out my answer to that question as if we had known each other for a long time. He was concerned where I was going, like we had been dating or something, and he wants to know, why am I moving? Where am I going? And he knew the situation I'm dealing with here, as far as 3 years going on, dealing with trying to get somebody to fix my leaky roof. And I had told him I'm under a lot of stress because of that, because I'm in a financial bind. And I'm not dealing with insurance. I can't. It's just a long story. We'll do a podcast about that too, because that's a real one fucked up story. Insurance, it's all a big scam. Um, so I called him and talked to I called him back, and I got up to go sit in the back room because Oliver was still home at the time. He was leaving for work like in a couple hours, so I wanted to go in the back rooms not to disturb him. And so I went in the back room, and I just told him like, "Oh, this person, is just like pissing me off, and with stupidity and stuff like that." And he said to me, "Why do you have so much drama in your life?" Again, man, that was like the old baseball bat to my face again. I just allergies. Oh, I've been outside doing yard work earlier today. I'm just itchy. But I just sat there for a minute, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck, dude? I sat there for a minute, and I said, it's not like I want this drama in my life with the roommates and the roof and this and that. I said, I don't even know. I think that's the old saying is, I'll sleep when I'm dead. It's like I have no idea when I will have a life because I've always been taking care of other people, dealing with the drama they bring into my life. I want a nice, peaceful, quiet life. At my age, I should just be able to get up in the morning, take care of my dogs, do my little bit of housework, putter around, do yard work. If I had enough money rolling in, I'd have, a kid in the neighborhood come over and at least mow for me, once a week. Not only to have them earn money, but to give me a break once in a while. And, I just, and I told him, I would really like to I'm supposed to be retired, okay? I would really like to just get up and not have to worry about anything. I told him, I said, I haven't had anybody in my life for years. And even when I did, especially the one I was married to last time, he did nothing. Before we got married, I should have gotten a clue then, but I had asked him, hey, I got a leaky faucet here. Mom wants to know if you can, come fix it, because he was over here all the time anyway. So he did it, had a change of attitude. And later on, I asked him, I says, what's the matter? Because he just flip flopped. And he dared to say to me, you only want me coming over here to fix things. I'm like, oh my fucking God, that should have been the first clue to run, to kick him out of my life. Ended up marrying him, the worst mistake of my life, because he was very abusive. But so anyway, Jim, I told Jim, I said, I would love to be able to get up, go through the day, do what I need to do, go out and do things I'd like to do for relaxation. I should be able to spend my whole day doing what I want, devoting more time to my writing and my artwork. And I can't even do that because it's literally like, hey, I walked in your room, I forgot what I went in for. It's all the time because I make a shopping list when I go out, and I forget it going out the door, and it's sitting right by the door. That it's that type of thing because I've got so many things going on in my head at one time. But yeah. So Jim fucking pissed me off. And when I responded to him, when he said, "Why do you have so much drama in your life?" I just kept it short and sweet, and I said, "I would love to not have to worry about anything." I said 75% of my stress right now is worrying about the leak in the back, and I'm going to have to try to get a home equity loan, yada yada yada, to get things fixed and done with. It's holding me up selling the house. It was on the market. I had to pull it right off because of the situation with Crackhead and then the crazy one leaving too. So and after I just basically said that to him, I'm trying not to have an attitude on the phone because I'm in my head, I'm going, oh my fucking God, what's wrong with him? And excuse me, he was sitting back in his recliner watching his 50-inch TV in the rain. Well, he was in his travel trailer, but he was in the, with the rain. He had nothing else to do at that point. Oh my, to have those problems. I wish I had those problems, So after, I had just said that and I was trying to be just friendly. I wasn't getting an attitude with him. He then says, again, we went from a baseball bat to the face to a knife in the heart, which shouldn't have felt like that because it's not like we were dating and having feelings. It was just somebody I thought like, hey, even a good friend. I could have just had a relationship with him as a friend, okay? He then turns around and says, well, I've been thinking after everything I went through with my girlfriend for X amount of years, I don't think I want to try to start a relationship at this point. I just said, okay. I said, I didn't even say okay because that would have, I think that would have meant okay between us. Like, we're not going to start a relationship. I have no fucking clue. So I just said, I understand that. Yada, 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 yada. I said, you need to take time to figure out what you want and blah, 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 blah. And we just talked a little bit more, and he had to go and do something at the campground, which I knew about anyway. But so I did say to him, it's been a fucking week now. I did say to him, well, stop by and visit sometime. And he went, it was kind of like a surprise. He just kind of went, okay. I said, okay, you go do what you need to do. Have fun, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I'll talk to you later. Hung up. Crickets. Fucking crickets. Haven't heard from him since. Not even a text. Hey, how you doing? Have you died yet? Did you throw yourself off the roof? Bullshit. Nothing. And then the other guy, Mike, I had, okay, he was a firefighter. He is, whatever. Lives in town here. Works for a fire department next town over, which, a lot of the guys do anyway. So he beeps me one day after we had exchanged cell phone numbers. He beeps me one day, and it was like afternoon. And I just said, hey, what you doing? Da 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 da. And he proceeded to tell me he was, on the job, which, is a 24-hour shift. And so we spent probably 5 hours, not constant texting, because I told him, if I don't answer, I'm doing this, I'm doing that in the house, I'm changing laundry, take care of the dogs, stuff like that. And I knew from having been married to a firefighter, my first marriage, like over 30 years ago, I know when they're on the job, if they don't answer right away or they have to hang up when you're talking on the phone, they got the alarm and they had to run. And that did happen twice. So we were just chatting back and forth, this and that and everything. And this was the very first contact we had outside the site. And I gave him my phone number later that day, before we got off the phone at like 8:30 that night. And I gave him my house number and I said, give me a call. We can meet, blah, 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 that type of thing. Check each other out and, see what, whatever the fuck people do when they meet nowadays. And he goes, okay. So he that was like 8:30 on whatever night it was. And he gets up the next day. I got up and I waited until like 8 o'clock. I text him. I just says, hey, good morning. Hope you have a good day, da, 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 da. And a little while later he responds and he goes, I got a lot to do, a lot of running around to do, and, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, fine. I said, just call whenever. I said, I'm here unless I run out to do a quick errand. Never heard from him. I mean, like I'm saying, which is fine. We just met. I didn't know what he did when he got off work. He did tell me what he did as like a second job, like all firefighters do. And it was 7 o'clock that night on his day off. He texts me and he goes, hey, I've been running around getting ready to go away for 2 weeks. And he told me where he was going. And I'm like, he didn't, I just would have thought like he would have mentioned something like that when we were texting for 6 friggin' hours. And he goes, I'll catch up with you when I get back. So I'm like, okay, fine, have fun. And the funny thing about the site we had met on, like most dating sites, you can see when people are online. And a few times I went back and forth and I was like answering emails, declining people, not compatible, that type of thing. He would pop up like during the afternoon that he was online, and I'm like, okay, whatever. He could be doing the same thing I'm doing, answering emails. I don't know. But so I ended up a couple of days later, because a lot of the men that were responding were just so disrespectful and sending inappropriate pictures and stuff. So I just canceled my, I didn't even have a subscription at that point. I just deleted my profile and got off the site, real fast. And it was just weird. Like, I would just assume that, again, that's me. I would just assume that, even when you met somebody, if you're away, just once in a while go, hey, how you doing? Talk to you when we get back, something like that. But then again, we're dealing with men here. I don't know. And so he told me he was going to be back the 17th of July. And it's not like I marked my calendar, but, it's like when you're not working an outside job, you don't pay attention to what day of the week it is or the date much unless you have an appointment somewhere. So the day, I honestly don't know if it was the day he came back or the next day. He texted me probably like 7 or 7:30 at night, and he just goes, hey, I just got back from where he was, and he goes, how you doing? So again, I'm like, I'm not going to respond right away. I don't want any man to think I'm sitting around with the phone in my hand waiting for anybody on a regular basis anyway, no matter where I go. I don't have the phone in my hand. It's either in my purse or my pocket. If I'm out doing my hobbies at events, uh, my phone is usually on the table, plugged in, charging, and I don't make it a habit. I mean, I listen for phone calls in case it's an emergency or something, but I don't walk around with the phone in my hand. People complain, like, if I go out to Walmart or I go to the bookstore, how come you didn't answer your phone? It's like, I get so many scam calls on my phone anyway. I don't jump anymore when the phone rings. So I just, responded to him the next day and said, oh, I said, I didn't even see this till this morning. I lied. Whatever. So I just told him, I've been busy doing this and that and, trying to line up roofers to come check my roof and, just told him like little basic things, nothing really important. And wasn't until the next day, so I guess it was 2 days after he got home, he starts texting me again. And I says, hey, what's up? He goes, oh, at work. Okay. So again, we had many, many hours of exchanging, my hair sticking up. We were out doing yard work. I got caught in a tree. We were out doing yard work. I mean, the dogs and I today. So we had probably a good, 5 or 6 hours again of texting back and forth. And he says to me, when are you going to send me a picture? And I said, well, you saw what I look like. I don't know what kind of pictures he was asking for. So I was going through my phone, sending him photos of me, let's just say, when I was out doing my hobbies and events. You would see a picture of me holding something and just my arm. And he's like, but it's just an arm. And I said, or there'd be like part of a leg when I had my dog or something. And I'm like, when I crop photos of my artwork or my dogs, we're focusing on the item, not the person holding it or doing, So I had sent him like 20 pictures, some of them were funny. But, he was commenting and, I want to say we were having a good conversation, but I have no clue anymore. So again, I was the one that night while he was working, and it was before 8. I said, I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, couldn't get back to sleep. So I told him, I said, hey, I gotta go. I'm falling asleep here. I said, beat me tomorrow. or give me a call. You got my house number. He's like, okay, fine, da 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 da. Hung up. It's been 3 or 4 days now. Not a goddamn peep. I don't get it. You know, again, said he's divorced, and we joked about that in our first contact. You know, because I even asked him, "You married or got a girlfriend?" And he goes, "Nope, been divorced for quite a while." And I said, "Okay, da 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 da." And I have no clue. Um, I had typed up something else here, which is basically just what I just told you about Jim, and it was in response to that post, the more responsibility a woman has to deal with. Um, a good friend of mine who lives cross country had posted that, and she had gone through, she's a professional person that's very well known. She had gone through an abusive marriage. Husband took everything from her, destroyed her financially and emotionally. Um, and even after, he did that, he had been hooking up with some very wealthy woman, married her, and he wouldn't just let things go. He just kept destroying her or whatever. So, we're close over Facebook, and, we're very supportive of each other in what we've been through in our relationships and all. So when she had posted that, I had I had written a very long response, and a lot of it was related to what I just told you. And, I had responded with, sister, I'm taking this post as a man saying it, but I do not get, I don't get men anymore. It's like, I don't know. I had I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know. All I gotta say is, like I told any roommate that's come in here over the years, I'm a writer. Don't piss me off, because you don't want to be the topic of one of my books, my chapters, my podcasts. Um, I'll out you without IDing you, but I have no clue. I have no clue. I figured, hey, I'd like somebody in my life, to share things with, and, old age, and have a man with balls. Unfortunately, I do like a man with balls, a conservative, one that knows how to take care of the woman in his life, will do things for her. And in turn, you each give 200% in a relationship. I don't get it anymore, you know? So I guess I'll just continue to mosey on along by myself. And like I tell my friends, unfortunately, I like a man with balls, but fortunately, those balls are attached to an asshole. So, and on that note, I will, I will, I don't know what, I don't know what. It's like after 5 now. I just really need a nap. But, and here's another one. Let me hold the door for you. I may never have walked in your shoes, but I can see your soles are worn, your strength is torn under the weight of a story I have never lived before. Let me hold the door for you. After all you've walked through, It's the least I can do. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to upload this video to my YouTube studio, and I hope I can on this program. I just may have done this for an hour and 5 minutes and lost it all. I don't know. But okay, this is going to sit there until I do chapter 3 and possibly 4 of the roommate situation. And I do have many other topics I got to get to. But in the meantime, I am a little more than halfway, almost 75% done with a nonfiction book I'm trying to get together to get out there to the publisher and everything. So, again, thanks for watching. Leave a comment or send an email. All the info is below there. Please hit the like button. Even if you hit the don't like button, it shows YouTube that you're watching. And hit that little bell, notification bell. I have a friend that's a subscriber, and she did not know about the bell. I had to tell her. So, all right. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend. And, well, who knows when I'll post this, but I do definitely need to get at least one video out a week, if not 2. So, all right. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate it. Thank you.